If you're using ServiceNow for centralized incident management and SecOps, we have some good news. You can now configure ServiceNow Issues to synchronize with GitGuardian incidents. Once configured, you'll be able to send incident data from GitGuardian and map it to ServiceNow Issues, triggering your preferred workflows. And if properly configured, you can update GitGuardian incidents directly from ServiceNow Issues. We'll get into using the ServiceNow integration in the final section of this video. But before we get to that, let's walk through the integration process. While there are a few more steps than some other integrations with GitGuardian, it is a straightforward process, and I'm here to guide you through it. We'll create a user and an app on ServiceNow, and then associate that app with our GitGuardian workspace. This does require manager or owner level access for GitGuardian. In this video, we'll walk through all the steps to fully automate your integration to auto-create issues in ServiceNow, auto-update to send comments from GitGuardian to a ServiceNow issue, and auto-resolve to mark incidents resolved in GitGuardian when an issue is closed in ServiceNow. You'll also want a text editor available to take notes and edit certain settings and strings as we go along. We'll first work within ServiceNow to create a new user and then build the needed web service. To begin, create a new user in ServiceNow. From the top All menu search, look for Users and Groups and select the option for User under that section. From here, click New in the upper right-hand corner to make our new user. We highly recommend naming this user GitGuardian for easier reference later. It's critical to check the box beside Web Service Access Only to enable this user to authenticate later. Now hit Submit. Once created, open that user record. In the bottom tab view, click on the Roles tab and press Edit. From this view, search for import underscore. Move the options import underscore set underscore loader and import underscore transformer into the roles list. Hit Save. Finally, for this part, set a password for this account. It's a good idea to copy and store this somewhere safely for later in the process. Now hit Update one final time for this record. Next, we need to create a new inbound system web service. The easiest way to do this is by using the top All menu search, looking for the term System Web Service, and selecting the Create New option under Inbound. Again, for convenience, we highly recommend the name contain the term GitGuardian. For the new service's target table, select Incident, or whatever custom table you're currently using for incidents. Now to map the GitGuardian communications with ServiceNow, we need to give this web service 7 fields. We'll add these by double-clicking the bottommost label field and typing each one as a new field. The first 4, category, source, sysid, and timestamp, don't require any other settings than the defaults. For the final 3, we'll also be editing the length. So for comments, we'll add a length of extra large. For description, we'll add a length, again, of extra large. And for short description, our final field, we will add a length of medium. Now that it's created, check the box for Create New Record on Empty Coalesce Fields and click Submit. After that, click the Auto Map Matching Fields link. Now, you'll only see 4 of the 7 fields at this point. We need to manually map the remaining 3, so let's walk through each. First, click New to add a new field map entry and select U_sys_ID from the Source field menu. Set the target field to sysid, and finally click the box for Coalesce. Now we can hit Submit. Next, again click New, and this time select Source field timestamp. Set the target field to Open. This will open a new date format field. Leave this as default and hit Submit. Do not select Coalesce. For the third and final one, again click New. Select Source field Source and set the target field to Correlation ID. Hit Submit. Again, we're not selecting Coalesce for this one either. Finally, hit Update. Let's make sure all is saved and looks as expected. From the All menu search at the top, look for GitGuardian or whatever you called it earlier. Click that search result. You should now see your app and then all 7 fields now properly mapped. With all this set up properly on the ServiceNow side, the final thing we need to do from this interface is get the web service URL to use with GitGuardian. To get there, we're going to click the Explore REST API link in the Related Links section. When you get to the Import Set API page, copy the ServiceNow URL in the section under Create a Record and an import set staging table. Now we're going to need to manipulate this string, so paste this into a text editor or wherever you're taking notes. Since we'll be using this URL outside of ServiceNow, we need to replace the dynamic call at the end of the URL, which is currently set as curly braces staging table name, with the actual hard-coded machine value shown under staging table name field option. For our example here, it's the u_GitGuardian_notifications. Your URL should be structured the same as shown here. Now you're finally ready to connect GitGuardian to ServiceNow. Over in your GitGuardian workspace, click on Integrations, and in the Issue Tracking section, click on the Install button beside ServiceNow. From here, you can select a specific team to work with this integration, or select the All Incidents team if you just want all incidents to be included. Name the new integration as you wish. Here, we're calling it All Incident ServiceNow Integration. Paste in the URL we created earlier from your ServiceNow account. For the username and password, enter the new user that we created and use the password that you set for it. If you failed to note that password earlier, you can simply generate a new one now. Next, you can find your new issue content from GitGuardian. Feel free to edit the title or description as you see fit. Here, we're going to leave it as is, but you can always modify this later if you want. Depending on how much automation you want, you can configure the following options. Auto create to automatically create a ServiceNow issue for each new incident detected in GitGuardian. Auto update to send updates from GitGuardian to the associated ServiceNow issue in the form of comments whenever the GitGuardian incident changes. Those two options don't require any further configuration after selecting the options. For the last option, Auto Resolve, that does take a bit more finessing. This option marks the related GitGuardian incidents resolved when the linked ServiceNow issue is marked as closed. For this part, you'll need to look up specific values custom to your instance of ServiceNow. For the target table name, we want to leverage the status of an incident, so we'll use incident, or the custom table you used for incidents. For resolve status, by default we want state. Now we need to look up the state choice values in ServiceNow. These values might differ between instances, and we need to look them up every time we do a new integration. Again, from the All Menu search in ServiceNow, look for System Definitions, and select Tables from that section of the results. Now search the tables for a label incident, or whatever custom table you used. Open that entry and search Table Columns for State, and click the dictionary entry that matches that. Click the tab Choices from the bottom table view. From here, search for Closed, and note all appropriate values. When we're adding these into GitGuardian integration setup, remember to separate each with a comma. Now, if you wish, depending on your preferred workflow, you might also want to do the same steps for the resolved state. Click Finish Setup, and we're ready to test. Back in your ServiceNow integration page, you'll see a drop-down list containing your new integration beside the team you chose earlier. To test, click on the small envelope icon. Hovering over it reveals that this is the button that will create a test issue. After a few moments, over in ServiceNow, you'll find a new incident updated by user GitGuardian with a short description of a new fake key vulnerability has been found. If you see that, we're ready now to use our integration. Now that your ServiceNow integration is ready to go, let's take it for a spin. First, let's manually create a ServiceNow issue from a GitGuardian incident. From within an existing incident, you'll now be able to see a new ServiceNow option beside issue tracking. Clicking on this will open a modal that allows you to customize the title and description of this incident. Click Create Issue, and your issue will soon appear in ServiceNow in your Issues queue. If you selected Auto Update from within GitGuardian, whenever you update the status of an incident, it'll show up as a note in your ServiceNow issue. And if you configured Auto Resolve, when an issue is closed in ServiceNow, this will update the associated incident in GitGuardian as resolved. Note that this inter-system communication can take up to about 30 minutes in certain instances, depending on the number of factors outside of our control. Finally, when a new incident is created, if you configured auto-create, a new issue will appear in ServiceNow. Congratulations! You're now fully integrated with ServiceNow and GitGuardian and ready to tackle secret sprawl by using your favorite workflow automation platform for SecOps.